Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. We are fired up to help you, yes you, live a fully funded life. My name is Joe Sangle, and if you have a chance to meet me before, I'm fired up to meet you today. We're all about providing right now relevant information to help you in your money journey so that you can fulfill your plans, hopes, and dreams. This is episode number
226.
Episode number 226. That is the voice of my co-host, Megan Hibbert. Are you fired up today?
Fired up. Happy Monday. It is Halloween.
It is Halloween. Very spooky. Should we talk about spooky finances? Is that the name of today's title?
Spooky.
It might as well be.
It should be.
Tell everybody what we're talking about.
Yeah. So today we're talking about Roth IRA versus IRA, so a traditional IRA. So our question is, what is the difference between a Roth IRA and an IRA?
Right, and this is the very last day of what we called a self-proclaimed Oxen Month.
It is.
About investing month. And so as we wrap it up, we're going to talk about something that spooks a lot of people, and that is, should I choose a Roth IRA or an IRA, or just talking about IRAs or retirement stuff is very spooky for people, so we're fired up to talk about that. But before we dive into the content of today's episode, you know what time it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
The Monday Money Tip Podcast is sponsored by the Fully Funded Life Membership Program. The Fully Funded Life Membership Program provides all you need to begin winning with money and live a fully funded life. Fully Funded Life includes 4 key components: courses, challenges, coaching, and community. Courses provide financial education. Challenges help you make massive progress in a specific money skill. Coaching is provided by the Fully Funded Life Certified Coaches through open office hours held multiple times each month. All of the courses, challenges, and coaching results in an outstanding community that help equip, motivate, and encourage you to take your next financial steps toward your fully funded life. Fully Funded Life. Courses, challenges, coaching, community. All that's missing is you. Learn more and receive a special offer for Monday Money Tip listeners today at fullyfunded.life/MMT. That's www.fullyfunded.life/MMT. Well, for today's current money events section, creepy. Should we talk about spooky money? Scary
money.
Stuff? Well, you know what? The economy is doing some spooky, scary stuff. One of the things I wanted to talk about is something that it's being communicated a little bit from the Federal Reserve and Jay Powell, our Federal Reserve Chairman. And he keeps talking about this fact that they are going to raise rates, which I think in a couple episodes ago I went and nerded out and talked about the quantity theory of money. And so they raise interest rates to constrict the availability of funds to people. You know, if stuff is higher interest rates, people are less apt to borrow or less apt to be able to afford said item if they're financing it because the monthly cost gets too great. And that therefore shrinks the supply of money. And he's talking in some very spooky terms. I think that's appropriate for this current spooky event section. By the way, I thought of this guy's name. I've thought about this. I Googled it. Even Googling, I couldn't figure it out. But as a kid, growing up just south of Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm gonna tell them some stuff they don't know. Is that
Go for
awesome?
it. Yep.
I grew up
I'm gonna drink my
with
coffee.
no TV.
No TV?
No TV. There was no TV in our house. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So I grew up with no TV. So TV was like awesome when I saw TV. And I remember one time we went to my grandparents' house, and my dad's sister lived behind her mom and dad, his mom and dad. And they had snowmobiles and stuff, but me and my twin were like, we couldn't drive it. We were like 7 or 8. And on TV, they had endless reruns of The Lone Ranger, and we were in like heaven. It was awesome. But I remember once going over to my friend's house, and I was probably my son's age, that he is now 12-ish. And they had a show on, and I didn't know what it was, but it was terrifying. It was right around Halloween. And I finally found out who it was. And it turns out it was a local character. And I don't really remember what he said, but I remember it was kind of terrifying. And his name was Sammy Terry. So you should look up Sammy Terry. I think somebody even came up with a Wikipedia page, even the local personality who just for some reason like creeping young children out. They did a very effective job for me. So anyhow, that has anything to do with these current money events.
Nothing.
But what's creepy about this current thing that's happening is Jay Powell said he's going to, he didn't say it exactly like this, but he said it like this, that he is going to raise rates indiscriminately until the American people feel pain in the terms of people start getting laid off. That he's saying we have to get people losing jobs for them to stop spending money nonsensically.
Ooh.
And that's kind of terrifying because the Federal Reserve has a mandate to maintain order in the financial markets and maintain full employment. That's how great economies operate. And so we're starting to hear in our local town the sound of some layoffs happening, as particular in the manufacturing sectors, people that manufacture direct to consumer goods. And so that's pretty interesting. Man, I hope it doesn't get too profound, but what I would just say is it is spooky and it can spook a lot of people when they start saying words like layoffs around workplaces.
Yeah.
That's kind of catching. It's kind of terrifying, particularly when people have no margin. So what I would just tell everybody, the time to save money is not when you get laid off. The time to save money is when you have regular income. So that if that moment ever happens to you, you're able to, you can you can still have courage as you go through that and you don't go off the financial cliff, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I just thought I would just share on this Halloween edition of the current money event section, a spooky message. Hey, the famine is coming. And I don't know for whom or if it's for all, but the time to save is when times are good. So make sure that you're prioritizing saving money and building margin. No one has ever come to us and said, I really regret saving money. So that's it for today's current money event section, Sammy Terry edition.
Well, there's that. All right, our success story today comes from Julie, who is knocking out debt and feeling hopeful about her family's financial future, which is already off to a great start.
That's awesome.
Yep. She said, you've opened up communication between my husband and I, and we are so excited about our finances. Whoever thought that could happen? We calculated that by committing another $500 a month into debt reduction, we can have our credit cards, 2 cars, and house, first and second mortgage paid off in just 6 years.
Wow.
What? That's a lot of things.
Yeah.
We're both in our 50s and thought that it would never be possible until we were well into our 70s, considering that our major debt, our mortgage, is only 4 years old. Love, love, love what you are doing for God's people.
That is awesome.
There's a lot in there.
Julie I like
is
it.
on a roll.
She says she's knocking out debt. You know, the uppercut. It's the Mike Tysoning. She's Mike Tysoning it. George Foreman, right? She's not biting its ear, so maybe I should say George Foreman or my favorite boxer ever, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Come on. Whew. And Sugar Ray Leonard.
I don't know enough about boxing to know anything about what you're talking about.
But anyhow, she's knocking it out. She's bringing the uppercut. She's bringing the jab. And she's feeling hopeful.
Just
Hope.
great.
The feeling of hope. I always say this, hope puts a hop in your step. And hope has hop in it. So figure that out. And then she says, we've opened up communication. We're a catalyst for that, right? We're basically showing that this can be a fun conversation. Doesn't always have to be negative. That's really good. I like it that they can commit another amount. So they're basically saying, we're going to forego spending this $500 on other things. Instead, we're going to attack debt with it. They're going to knock it out. That's awesome. And they're both in their 50s. And now they're looking at it and saying they're going to exit their 50s and have everything paid off. How awesome is that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So the moments have happened. Conversations have happened. Now the hard part begins. You got to go live it. And that is the big challenge. And that's why we have this podcast coming to you every single Monday to help you live your fully funded life. And so we always say this podcast is powered by people's success. We're fueled up now. What would you point out there?
I mean, she's paying off credit cards, so it's plural, so it's more than one. She's paying off 2 cars,
Plural.
and a house. Yeah, 2 cars, house, first and second
Plural
mortgage,
mortgages.
which is insane that they're doing all that in 6 years. And I think it just shows the progress that you can make if you're willing to, they're sacrificing by not spending that $500 somewhere else. They're, they're putting it towards debt. So that is a sacrifice, like you said. But the amount of progress they can make in just 6 years, if they're willing to have a limited time of sacrifice.
And I think it's really good. You know, when you think about sacrifice, they're giving up the ability to spend money, but are they really sacrificing a lot? They have 2 cars, you know,
They have a house.
They have a house,
Yeah.
right? So they're living a lot of good things.
They're saying no to maybe like eating out or maybe buying some clothes or, you know, other things like that are not essential that they're able to say no to, which is good.
Awesome.
Yep.
Way to go, Julie, and unnamed husband.
I feel like the other spouse is always unnamed.
Yeah, they're always unnamed.
They should always put their other spouses.
Well, it's always assumed. You know, it's my love, you know. Awesome. So tell everybody again what we're talking about on this very scary episode of the podcast.
All right, so today we're talking about the difference between a Roth IRA and an IRA. So if you have been confused about which one you should invest in, which one you should start, which one's right for you, we got you.
That's awesome. So I've got a prop. You like my prop today? Like my prop? This is my prop. So let's assume that this right here is your retirement account. Okay? And so when we say the difference between a Roth IRA and a regular IRA, this is also the difference between a Roth 401k and a regular 401k, or a Roth 403b and a regular one, a Roth 457. These are just different sections of the IRS tax code. These numbers are 401k, 403b, 457, but they all function almost identically. And here's the difference. Let's assume that this basket is the account, and the edges of this basket provide protection for the contents. Okay? So an IRA, a regular IRA, a regular 401k, a regular 457, something that's not a Roth, what it means is that you are eligible to put all of the money that you are contributing into your account. And within that basket, you hold different investments. So you have mutual funds, you can hold individual stocks, there can be bonds, there can be different types of investments, and they are tax-free when you put them in there. So you get paid $1 and you put the whole dollar towards investment, there are no taxes right now, okay? So it stays in this investment, the 401k, the regular IRA, and it grows free of taxes. The government can't get inside the basket. They want in the basket, but they just can't. They can't get in this basket. All of those investments grow, and hopefully it becomes a heaping basket. And even the stuff that heaps over, it can't be taxed. However, it then, when you go to take money out of it, you will be taxed, okay? So that's what a regular IRA is. That's what a regular 401k is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That's a good illustration.
Now, if you are in a Roth account, a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, a Roth 457, it's named after Senator William Roth, and it basically means that when you put money in this account, let's say you have an earned dollar and that your tax rate is 20% when you look at all your taxes, state, local, federal taxes, then only 80 cents of that dollar get to go in here, okay? And so it is not tax deferred. So, but once it's in here, just like with the regular IRA 401k, it is now taxed. It can't be taxed. It's protected from taxes. Now, only 80 cents, not the whole dollar that you would have had it. And it grows free of taxes. Hopefully it grows heaping. But here's where it becomes the difference. Is when you go to retire and you take money out of it, there are no taxes because you've already paid taxes on the money that generated this account, the seed of this account. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's a couple things that's really important to understand, and that is when you think about our ladder, rungs 3, 6, and 8 talk about investing. Rung 3 is about your company retirement plan. Or if you don't have a company retirement plan, you open your own IRA or Roth IRA. And so one of the big questions that we get all the time is, should I invest in a Roth retirement account or a regular retirement account? Well, we would say both of them meet the requirement of rungs 3, 6, and 8, which is that they're tax advantaged.
Right.
Because in one case, you don't pay taxes up front, you pay it later, the regular IRA, regular 401k. The other one, you pay the taxes up front, but there are no taxes later. Both of those have tax advantages. So which one should someone choose?
So when looking at it, you would want to choose, you want to look at what you feel like your tax bracket you're going to be in when you're pulling the money out. So if you think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket, you would have to take that into consideration. If you feel like you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, you want to take that into consideration, because in the beginning, when you're putting your money in, you're like, oh, I'm putting a whole dollar, and that sounds great. But if you're going to have higher taxes when you pull it out, then not so
Right.
great.
And this is really important. So that's the question, and it's a gamble.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Like the question is, do you think your tax rate will be higher now or when you're in retirement using these dollars? That's a really big question.
Yeah.
Because most people instantly answer that they think taxes will do what in the future?
Go up.
Go up. Why?
Everything else goes up.
Because everything else goes up, because the government keeps spending more money than they bring in from taxes. And as a result, we're like, oh, well, we have this huge debt that we have to pay back to. So therefore, the tax rates could be higher. But I would say what Lee Corso says on game day, not so fast, my friend. And he always has a pen or a pencil. But the fact is, when you retire, when most people retire, their income actually goes down in retirement. Yeah. And here's something that's very important to consider. I recognize this is 301 or 401 level thinking, but hey, that's what we want everybody here doing at the podcast, is thinking deeply on this, that much of your income in retirement is what's called unearned income. So it's interest income, it's dividends from stocks or stocks within mutual funds that you own. Well, you didn't work for that income. It's what we call type 2 income around here. And it's oxen income. Well, that is taxed differently, because if you have earned income, you have to pay this really weird dude named FICA, which is Social Security, 6.2% of your pay. Your employer matches 6.2%. That's 12.4% of your pay. And then you have to pay Medicare. That's 1.45%. And then 1.45% is matched by your employer. That's a total of 15.3% taxation. Well, that doesn't happen on unearned income. Very important. So if you're paying the taxes your half and the employer pays the other half, you're saving 7.65% in taxes right there. So many times our knee-jerk reaction of our taxes will be higher in the future probably is not true. And so if taxes are going to be lower for you, the tax rate is going to be lower for you in the future, then you'd want to pay taxes when your taxes are going to be lower. Therefore, it would make more sense to avoid taxation early and invest in a regular IRA or regular 401k. Okay? If you do believe, however, that at retirement you're going to have more income and you'll have a higher tax rate, then you would want to pay the taxes now and therefore avoid taxation later.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's really hard because it is a gamble. I mean, you're really having to think. If you're in your 20s, you're having to think way in advance,
Yeah.
Which is when, we don't need to start investing super early as you can, but it's hard to make that choice.
It's hard.
And sometimes you just got to make a choice.
And I don't know how big
it.
this basket's going to be by the time. I might have to add layers because it grew really substantially, maybe even more than what you thought when you look at compound interest. So here's a couple other things I want everybody thinking about. And we go into detail in this when we teach the Rung 6 and Rung 8 course in Fully Funded Life. And I encourage everybody to check it out. If you're not a member of Fully Funded Life, check it out at fullyfunded.life. But there's something called RMDs. Have you heard of them? So what does that stand for? Do you know? Can you remember? Required.
I'm trying to look back at the slides that I make.
Yeah, you put together the slides. Required minimum distributions.
Yeah.
And they just changed the law in 2017 to move it 2 years back. But at age 72, you are required to start taking distributions from 401k or regular IRA accounts, those ones that have never been taxed. And they do a math equation, but it's roughly 4 to 5% of the value of those accounts you're going to have to take every year and pay taxes on that amount. That's called distributions, required minimum distributions. Roth IRAs and Roth accounts, they are not subject to RMDs. And one of the great challenges for people who are at retirement age, they start having limited options for tax deferred or tax advantage investments.
Yeah.
And so when they're forced to take the money out, that money, even if they don't spend it, if they just pay taxes and keep the rest, now as that grows, even on basic interest, it's going to be taxable. Roth IRA money is not forced out. It's not subject to RMDs. So it allows you to keep money tax deferred all the way. And most people are advised to touch those funds last because you're losing the tax advantages as you pull it out. And so many people choose a 50-50 approach. 50% in a regular IRA or 401k account and 50% into a Roth account.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so it's really important because then you have this approach where, yes, I have RMDs, but I have this whole swath of money that's able to stay over here and still grow free of taxation and won't be taxed when I do pull it out.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a great question to be asking because you're looking to invest, you're looking to take that next step, you're looking to make sure that you're set up for the future. And so it's not like, oh, I'm going to make the wrong decision. You know, like I think the 50-50 is a good option where you're able to say like, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, you're kind of diversifying, which we encourage people to do when they're investing. But I think it's like a great question to be asking yourself and proves that you're taking steps, you know, like you're making progress, you're wanting to dive deeper, you know, you're not.
And it's really important, you know, planning. You know, we talk about plans, hopes, and dreams all the time. It's rung number one of our ladder. And retirement is one of those big items. And, you know, people have the go-go years of retirement. They want to travel, they want to see, they want to do. Maybe they got young grandchildren, they want to do stuff with them a lot and all that. That stuff really important. But when we think about planning, retirement is also about saying, I don't want my kids to have to help fund me in retirement because I didn't plan.
Right.
Because most people produce enough income, if they're intentional with it, that they will be able to provide for themselves. And I think we all have this independent streak in us. We want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says that a person who cannot provide for themselves is worse than an infidel. We really want to know that we're able to provide for ourselves, even when our ability to exchange time, energy, and effort with a job, those days have waned. We want to make sure that the type 2 income, the oxen we have, can sustain us. And so I really hope that this provided clarity. You know, we want to make sure that you have tax advantage investments. And the retirement ones are really, really important because many people keep robbing money out of their retirement. You borrow out of it, they use loans, they cash it out and pay a tax penalty on top of taxes. Listen, it's got the word retirement in it for a big reason. It's for retirement. Make sure that you choose one or the other, or hey, choose a 50-50 approach. But just think about it. Do you think taxes are going to be higher in the future, lower in the future? And then make an informed decision. And that's what our passion is, being able to bring information to you and let you make the right decision.
Yep. All right. Our next episode.
We'll put our 401k back here.
Safekeeping. We're going to talk about, we're going to continue our Money Lies series. So our topic is going to be that costs too much.
Oh, this is going to be fun. You know, people believe a lot of lies about money.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, we will accept that lie as truth. And what we're trying to do with this series is we're trying to combat the lie by bringing the light of truth to it and exposing it for what it is and helping us rethink some things that maybe we fought into, but it's really a lie. But that's gonna be a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed our Money Lie series. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this whole month of Oxen Month. It's been really fun for me. We've had several Facebook Lives for our fully funded life community. Hey, I really do encourage you to check it out. If you like this episode of the podcast, and it's particularly if you watch it on YouTube so you could see our little basket, it'd be awesome, you know, just to see the basket. And the spooky edition, hey, hit a thumbs up and then tell us what you've chosen to do. Have you chosen a Roth? Have you chosen a regular one? And tell us why. We would love to hear your thoughts. And also, if you like this podcast, please rate it, leave us a review, and share that. That helps other people discover it. The algorithms, they work on our behalf that way. One other thing, if you've had success, that's what this podcast is powered by, your success. Hey, take a moment to email it to us at info@iwbnin.com. That's info@iwbnin.com. Or you can share your success with us on any of our social media platforms. Who knows? Your story just might be featured in an upcoming episode of the Monday Money Tip podcast. Any last words?
I'd be curious to see what you guys thought was the biggest takeaway from investing month. So what part of investing, kind of was I learned something new, or I didn't know that, or this is how I'm going to implement this part of investing, just because we talked a lot about it in the month of October.
Awesome. Comment, send us an email. Have a great week, everybody, and see you next Monday.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.